Yo, what's up, my MVP students? It's your boy MVP JT here, man. The semester is over. The semester is over. Now it's time for finals. You already know what time it is, man. We finna dive into a great show tonight, episode 16. I got my main man, Professor, with me tonight. And but listen, tonight we're gonna do something a little different. We're not going to have a games to pick. We're just gonna talk the environment, the culture, the headlines that's going on right now in college sports, man. So just sit back, relax, and let's get ready for the show. Yes, sir. We are live. Hey, time out. Before we do anything, Professor, who your background?
The man who should be the next head coach at Mississippi Valley State,
Is that
Jerry
Jerry Rice?
World Rice. That's Jerry Rice, circa day 1984.
Man, you are a
He
true.
was coming out of Mississippi Valley State.
And see, a lot of people don't. People think Jerry Rice went to a big school. It man went to HBCU, Mississippi Valley State. A lot of people don't know that. But anyway,
Yes, he did.
Yo, thank you for tuning in, y'all. This is another episode of MVP University. I'm your man, MVP JT. That's my main man, Professor Pryor. And in the comments tonight, we may have a special guest tonight in the comments. So if y'all, want to talk noise in the comments, we may have a special guest to monitor our comments tonight. But anyway, man, it's a loaded show tonight. And as expected, y'all already know what one of the headlines are going to be. Like, ain't nothing new. Everybody's talking about it. CNN's talking about it. MSN talking about it. The Japanese radio stations talking about it. Everybody's talking about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State. So we're gonna hop in. That's our first talk. Like, that's our first topic. We're gonna hop in right away. We ain't gonna sugarcoat it. We're gonna keep it 100. And I'm gonna pop it off like this. I said he wasn't gonna leave. If y'all go back, I said he was gonna leave. He will eventually leave, but not right now. But man, money talk, and an opportunity like this, and what he's about to do for other coaches. Yeah. Now I see a bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than Deion, and like he said, he's not chasing no bag. He got a bag. What he's about to do now, and what a lot of people aren't realizing, he's now going to open up doors for a lot of other black coaches, in my opinion. Because if I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen, the guys who he's building his staff with is either an HBCU coach or a black coordinator or a position coach. Mm-hmm. So Colorado is going to be flooded with blackness, melanin.
Boulder,
Colorado. The Buffaloes is going to be loaded with melanin. So Professor, I'm going to just go straight to it. My question is to you: was this a good move?
So, one of my favorite college football analysts, Emory Hunt, he tweeted out when he left that it's going to be 11 billion think pieces about Deion now, and I tweeted him back. I said, "Yep," and I wrote 2 of them.
Hey man, Chris, that's Jerry Rice, man.
Talk, and you said crazy stuff throwing me off, man. So, yes, it was definitely a good move. There are, man, you just ain't whistling Dixie, brother. Listen. Here's the thing. There are 3 things, and maybe 4 things. So let's go with 4 things that in today's college football multiverse that you have to be proficient at to have an opportunity to be a good head coach. In the words of Tom Fernelli for the Cover 3 podcast, every time a coaching hire is made, I like the hire. I have no idea if it'll work. But when you look at what Prime did at Jackson State, he recruited out of high school well. See Kevin Coleman and Travis Hunter. He worked the portal well. He assembled an unbelievably good staff at Jackson State. And I don't think he gets enough credit for the staff he assembled down there. And listen, there are coaches who are not great in-game coaches, like James Franklin. But man, he can hire the heck out of the staff. And then you gotta know the NIL game. He knows all four of those things. Those things give him an opportunity to succeed at a place like Colorado. We don't. Everyone that I know that's ever been to Boulder talk about it's a beautiful city. You got the mountains and the snow and craft beer and farm to table restaurants. But if I'm a young brother from Crenshaw, California, do I really care that much about craft beer? Probably not. So you need a guy. This is why it was so shrewd by Rick Cunningham, the AD of Colorado, making this move, because the Buffaloes have not had. The last time Buffalo had buzz, they hired a black head coach, and it's because of what he said at the press conference. They hired a guy by the name of Alan Embry, and he said in that press conference, "I know." He goes, "I know if I don't succeed, I'm not gonna get another job." That's the buzziest thing that's ever happened at Colorado. So when you think about that, and the fact that we are over a week past this hire, and we still talking about Prime. Colorado got what they wanted. So they got buzz around the program. They got energy around the program. People are talking. They won one game, JT, and we're talking about the Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah.
So they got what they wanted.
I'm intrigued because here's why I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued for a couple of reasons. One, now I wonder if Cordell Stewart is going to go back to the school and contribute a little bit more. He went to Colorado.
He did.
Two, how are the people of Boulder, Colorado? How is the boosters at Boulder, Colorado? How are they going to embrace Deion? My third thing with him, he said he's going to finish what he started at Jackson State. But my thing is, how many of those kids are going to stay after the Celebration Bowl?
Well, if he can convince them to stay for the Celebration Bowl, they should beat North Carolina Central by like 4 touchdowns. But although I don't think Shadur can play, because I think he formally entered the portal. So I think Andrade, is that the kid from Ohio State that's backing up Shadur?
Yeah.
Who's pretty good himself. But like Savion is still there. Coleman hasn't formally transferred. Willie Gaines is still down there. Niles Gaddy, Travis, Shiloh, all those guys have not, like Shadur's the only one that's formally entered the portal and signed with Colorado State. That team's still exponentially better than North. No shade to North Carolina Central, but y'all know what the deal is.
Yeah.
He could trot me out there at quarterback. Y'all still ain't scoring on that defense. But I think once coach coaches that last game, because Travis done put on his Instagram already, "Coach, I'm coming." So it's like, let's finish up this last game and then we leaving. Because listen, Travis, yes, he had a great experience going to HBCU. Now he's going to go play for his coach.
Yeah, and my thing is, if you've watched Deion's introduction to the team, he's coming, and that's what he said. He's coming, and he's bringing the bag with him.
And it's salute.
And my thing is, okay, we know Shador gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And he said Shador, his position, his spot is not guaranteed, but we already know how this is gonna play out. You know what I'm saying? Because what's the kid McCown, Joshua McCown's son, into the portal. So that's one less quarterback he got to battle with.
Listen, they won a game last year, JT. One game. Who would you want to keep on that roster?
Now, so I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. So I went back and watched the game, like some of the games, they have some decent players. Now, are they worthy of staying? Maybe. Were they in a position where the coach just didn't know how to coach them?
Mm-hmm.
That can be a situation. I'm curious to see as to how many seniors on that squad stay and take the opportunity to learn from a coach like Coach Dion. You know what I'm saying? And then with him bringing the head coach from Mississippi Valley State, which in my opinion, it was a great move. A
I,
great
I
move.
I wrote about that. I wrote about that, and I had a feeling. I knew a lot of people were talking about Willie Simmons joining him, but I had a feeling that Prime was gonna take. Yeah, man. You what you do is you just put a room in a locker room just for that, and just make sure it's got snacks, because that help you
Hey,
calm
Crispy
down.
on one tonight, boy.
Because if you listen, but you know, I'm glad Crispy brought that up, and I want to get your take on this. I heard a lot of "get off my lawn" from some of the older sports guys about the speech of him coming and bringing his Louis. And he want to make guys quit. You know, as you and I have both been in both high school and collegiate level locker rooms as players. So what are your thoughts if you listen to the speech on some of the things that he said to the players?
It is my thoughts is true. So think about it. When he got to Jackson State, and one of the YouTube videos came out where what people didn't see. I guess after the full when the players had opportunity to talk, one player said when Coach Prime got there, he said that the bat was going to weave itself out, and they did. Coach Prime is going to demand excellence.
Yeah.
He's not going to take no lackluster, no slack from no one. If you're not going to give 110 every practice, let alone a game, you're going to go. So what I think is going to happen, he did right. He gave them the expectation. If you're not going to give me 110% every time we on this field, you got to go. And either I'm going to make you leave, or you going to leave yourself.
Man,
And
it's so
I think a lot of players. I think a lot of players from Colorado. I said we didn't really have a lot of Colorado games on down here in the South. It's Pac-12, but do I think that the coaching staff had them boys disciplined? I don't know, but what I do know is what is coming.
Man, listen. First of all, as I said, they won one game. So first of all, if I'm a player and I got this scholarship, I'm gonna do everything I can to stay there, because if I'm on a team that went 1-11, it's a pretty good chance that I'm not gonna get many offers to go anyplace else. But also, he said what every coach.
What's up, bro? What's up?
And Westside know it because he was in the collegiate locker room too. Listen, he said what every coach has ever said to players at the beginning of a season. The only difference is they got it on video.
Mm-hmm.
And that any coach will say, yeah, that's pretty much, because you know, one of the dirty little secrets about, especially about college football, is when a new coach comes in, they quote unquote flip the roster.
Yeah.
And basically what that means is if I got a team full of sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and I don't have many scholarships to offer, I'm gonna look at this roster and I'm gonna tell guys, hey, listen, you ain't gonna play. So you might as well, you know, transfer, find someplace else to play. We're probably not gonna renew your scholarship. I mean, listen, once again, I'm looking at that symbol behind you. I remember when McElwain ran off Will Greer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something that happens all the time. You know, one of the things that we're not really reporting about the transfer portal is that some of these guys in the portal, coaches were basically like, yeah, if you want to get some playing time, you're probably better off trying to transfer now.
Yeah.
And finding someplace else to play. It's not all of these guys in the portal are not just guys thinking they can play or find a better NIL deal someplace else. Some of these guys are like the bottom 10% of rosters, and the coaches are basically like, man, you're not gonna play.
Yeah.
And we might not, and people, and keep in mind, everybody, if you didn't know this, these scholarships are not 4-year contractual agreements, they're yearly. Those scholarships have to be renewed and approved by the head coach every year. They can come and say, listen, your contract expires in March, we're not re-upping your scholarship. So go on the portal, see if you can find a scholarship to play someplace else. So that's what he's doing. He's setting the tone and the culture. What trips me out is I'm watching this video and I'm looking at these guys. Man, Crispy is in rare form tonight.
He is in rare form. He is going in tonight.
Man, listen. So I'm watching and I'm looking at these guys, hats on, got their phone. I'm like, they had not seen a single well-off media reel on YouTube. Prime don't play with these phones and these hats in the building. And he went in and went off.
Yeah. He said, if I find a phone or a hat while we in this room, you cannot.
So he's setting the tone. I'm telling you, man, I one thing that I am wholly impressed with, man, he is putting together a coaching staff of Monstars. So he got Dancy from Mississippi Valley State. Zimmer's gonna be his D coordinator. My man plucked Sean Lewis from Kent State to be his OC. Now listen, fans, if you don't know who Sean Lewis is, first of all, listen, he looks more like the bouncer at the local bar than a head coach, and even more specifically, an offensive coach. If you watch Tennessee play this year, Sean Lewis is on what they're now calling the veer. What is it? The veer and shoot. They don't want to call it the Browns offense anymore, which I can understand why you don't want to call it the Browns offense anymore. He is from that tree, and you're gonna see Colorado with these wide splits at receiver, throwing deep every other play. So that is gonna be fun if Prime gets the right players on that offense. And Shedeur played in a form of that offense at Jackson State. Yeah. So it's not going to be anything super new to him. I'm curious to see when I heard somebody talk about Shedeur's jump from the FCS to FBS. I'll get your thoughts on this. I thought about Cam Ward up at Washington State. It took him about 4 or 5 games to really settle in. And when he settled in, like I want to say Cam Ward had 7 to 8 picks this year. See, you already know, but it's Lewis, Crispy. But Cam threw like 5 or 6 of his 8 interceptions in like the first 4 or 5 games. Mm-hmm. When he got adjusted to that FCS to FBS transition at quarterback, he balled out. I think the same is gonna happen for Shedeur.
So I'm gonna say this: I think it's only gonna take probably 2 games. And just to be honest with you, I think they're going to assemble an offensive juggernaut around him to make it a little bit easier for him to transition. Because Deion was lobbying for him to be even like considered for a Heisman. Mm-hmm. All right, Deion, I get what you're saying, but he's in the FCS. Now he's going to be in the FBS. Now, if Shedeur puts up the numbers he did at Jackson State in a Pac-12 style conference with a higher level of skill set players, then maybe you can have a conversation. But my thing is, okay, looking at what Colorado is bringing back, those guys weren't the best. The receivers wasn't great route runners. The offensive line wasn't great at blocking. So like I said, when I watched them play, they wasn't a fundamentally sound offense to where Shedeur can thrive in. Now, what's going to come in from the portal, and what's going to, the high school seniors who are going to now commit to Colorado. Mm-hmm. I'm anxious to see how they flip that roster, or the current players, how they train them up and coach them up to be better linemen, better receivers. And to be honest with you, my thing is I'm not worried about. I'm not looking at who's going to be the OC or the DC. I want to see who he's going to hire at position coaches.
Mm-hmm.
My thing, who is going to be his receiver coach? Is Dancy going to be the receiver coach?
No, I think Dancy's coaching safeties.
So Dancy's going to coach safeties. Who's going to be his position coach?
Yeah, I'm looking to see, because I think in our little group text you asked about Coach Sims, that he's the strength guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think everybody come. Listen, Crispy, I'm glad you said that, and I'm gonna address that in a minute. I'm not sure if he's coming. Willie Simmons is not coming. He's bringing in Willie Taggart. Now, if Sean Lewis is going to be the OC, Taggart may coach the wideouts, but I'm thinking Coach Taggart may coach the quarterbacks. So I am curious to see who he's going to get. Man.
Hey, Crispy, you just own it tonight. You just own one for real, for real.
So I'm curious to see who he's going to get to be his O-line and D-line coach. I didn't think Willie Simmons was coming. I thought that he was gonna probably get more of a chance at the South Florida job, I should say. Southern Florida's a D2 NAIA school, but I thought he was gonna get more of a shot at the South Florida job than he did. But I can't blame them for hiring Golash from Tennessee. I mean, geez, look at what they did this year. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that is going to be curious to see. What was that comment Crispy just put up that I said I was going to address? The one. Yeah. So I want to say what Lane took 16 players in the portal.
Yeah.
What Prime is going to take at least 20, 25, at least.
So that's going to be interesting because you know what I'm saying. Like you said, each player has, once you're in the portal,
mm-hmm.
you don't get a 4-year scholarship. It's a year-by-year scholarship. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, okay, Coach Prime going to get all these players transferred in. How many roster spots is he going to have for high school seniors?
That's a good question. I think what you do, because you want to flip that roster as quickly as possible. So I think what you do, you're going to get rid of the guys you want to get rid of. And I think he's going to get rid of a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I really think he's going to get rid of a lot of guys. And so once he gets rid of who he wants to get rid of, he'll look to see how many scholarships now he has to offer. You know, of course, they up the number of players you can have on your scholarship roster in college. So I'm thinking he'll probably, if he's got 45 spots, he's going to probably reserve 20, 25 for transfers and the rest for high school players, because it'll be interesting, the high school players that are going to want to come to Colorado. Now, yeah. I have not yet looked at 24/7 or Rivals to see who the top players from the state of Colorado are. I'm guessing they may only have one or two that are Power 5 worthy, because we're not talking about D1 worthy, because D1 could be Northern Colorado.
True.
Yeah. So because they all like, oh, if he come to Colorado, I stay home and go to school. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think he's going to try to flip that roster quick and try to put up at least 5 wins this season and look competitive. Listen, Colorado was outscored by an average of 30 points last season. Yeah. They scored 15 a game and gave up 44 a game. So, and I can tell you, I would say from that Jackson State roster, I think Savion Wilkerson is good enough to be a Power 5 running back. I mean, Coleman had 4 SEC offers. Alabama offered him, and there was a formal offer. Auburn offered him. Georgia offered him. He went to Jackson State. I like Willie Gaines. I don't know if he can play at the Power 5, but you just kind of need a short, kind of quick slot guy. And
Yeah.
I think he can fulfill that role at Colorado. And to me, really off the defense, the guys that could play, I don't think they have any eligibility left. Most of those guys are either seniors or grad players.
Yeah.
But I think guys who are eligible, I mean, of course, Travis can play at that level. And I think Niles Gaddy can play at the Power 5 level as well. I think he's going to bring the top end guys with him from Jackson State. And I did not find their names, but I know there are 2 prominent guys in the portal that Prime has convinced. There are 2 guys in the portal that he convinced not to make a decision until he got to Colorado because he wanted to recruit them.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he brings. I know he got his eyes down there on College Station because Cats in Texas A&M is trying.
They're leaving. Yeah.
Bounce.
Yeah. So this is gonna be my last question because we don't spend almost 30 minutes on Deion.
Yeah.
Do you think his partnership with Under Armour is going to follow him? Because Colorado is sponsored by Nike.
That's a good question.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think that contract doesn't end until 2030. If I'm not mistaken, when I looked it up.
I think that all depends on how flush Colorado is with money because they'd have to buy themselves out of that deal. And if they can't buy themselves out of that deal, then Colorado gonna be a Nike school till 2030.
So here's my thing. Deion, he's flying flashy. You see what Jackson State did with the uniforms. Looking at I like when I play. I like to look good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Do you think now with him now having a bigger brand such as Nike,
mm-hmm.
do you think that the uniforms going to change? Do you think he's going to go in and really throw everything away, start over with a new look, new everything with Colorado?
So here's the thing. I don't want to sound biased because my high school colors were black and gold. But I think the 2 coldest colors combos, and I'm a little biased because my middle school colors were black and silver like the Raiders. Man, I think what you can do with just black and gold, right? Like one thing I would love to see them do is go straight all black, gold Colorado, and the helmet, black helmet, gold Buffalo. Man, that'd be so raw. Like you could do so much with those uniforms. Now the real uniform. Phil Knight saved them for Oregon.
Yeah. Ain't nobody gonna look better than Oregon. So
now, listen, we'll give you some, but you ain't getting our Oregon stuff, right? But yeah, I think he's gonna do that. I think one thing he's gonna help the university with, I think he's gonna help them get their NIL stuff together, and he's gonna need to get and one thing, and I said at the beginning of all of this, I feel very strongly that when they approached him about this job, they probably asked him, "Coach, what do you want?"
Yeah,
and he told them what he wanted, and they said, "Okay."
So, last question, and like I said, I know we can talk about this all day, but we got to go to our next subject. What's the table? What's the turnaround time? We're giving him how many years before we see an improvement?
Oh, he'll improve, dude. They won 1 game last season. If he wins 3, that's improvement.
Okay. Well, as far as making them relevant in the Pac-12,
I think next season they're gonna be more competitive. I'm curious to see how this roster feels out. One thing, if I'm Coach Prime, I'm saying, okay, look, Cunningham, look, Dr. Cunningham, listen, I know what you're trying to do. Let's keep Nebraska on the schedule for the non-con, but can we get a directional school on the non-con? Can we get Northern Colorado on they play Nebraska and TCU in a non-con next season?
Yeah.
So that would be one thing, but I think depending on what this roster looks like, they're going to have great coaches. They're behind in facilities. And I think as far as size, because they do have like 150 something $1 million football facility, but I mean, like they're far behind. And here's the thing: they're not as far behind as the Pac-12 as people want to think. One thing when people talk about Pac-12 facilities that you got to understand is that one school is so far ahead of everyone else, it's kind of making everybody else kind of look far behind. And that's Oregon, because Phil Knight put all that money in the facilities in that university, and they're currently on another expansion. So I don't think they're as far behind as people think. And one thing that Coach Prime is doing also behind the scenes that not many people are talking about is he is also building a very good support staff. So you're talking about the graphics team and the social media people, and his correspondence staff with recruits and all that good stuff. So he's putting together quite a step. I think they're going to be competitive next season. He'll be able, because of the transfer portal, to really flip this roster and put a good product on the field next season. And I fully expect it. If they don't go to a bowl next season, I believe Arizona finished 5-7. It wouldn't shock me if Colorado finished 5-7 next season.
Okay, I'm just excited, man. This is something that a lot of people have been. It's been talked about. We knew eventually it was going to come, and now it's here. So I don't know. I'm excited to see. I'm not going to lie to you, and honestly, I think, I know that he's going to make this job he's going to turn Colorado into I ain't gonna say a hot spot, but he's going to turn this into a job where coaches will want to come if Dion leaves. He's going to build a program to where, okay, here's my first head coaching job. Let me go to somewhere where it's already established, and I gotta continue it. You can't mess it up.
Absolutely, because 2025, that man fool around and win 10 games. When Ohio State lose to Michigan again and run Ryan Day off to the NFL, prime to Ohio State. I'm just playing, y'all. I don't even know.
Hey, do not be surprised by that move, though. Do not be surprised. But yeah, man, since we're talking about coaches and Coach Prime, Coach Prime ain't the only who's made a bit splash. You got Luke Fickell now going to Wisconsin. Satterfield is going to where? Is it Purdue? Not Purdue. What's Satterfield going to? Cincinnati.
Satterfield's going to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. It's so many. Brent Key is at Georgia Tech. So what is your most intrigued hire so far?
So let me first say, since you brought him up last, I think so I do the ACC power rankings for SaturdayBlitz.com. So go out of your way, go to SaturdayBlitz.com, look at the archive, look at all my ACC power rankings. Now I think every week I wrote about Georgia Tech, I'm like, give Brent Key that job, because sometimes hiring the interim wins you some football games. See 2019 LSU and see Clemson. So I'm glad he got that job. I'm very intrigued by Satterfield going to Cincinnati. I believe, I think I got my ADs mixed up. I think Rick George is the AD at Arizona State. I think Cunningham is the AD at Cincinnati. So if that is the case, oh yes, John Cunningham is the AD at Cincinnati. So my bad, y'all. Sometimes the almanac be a little off, but he's notoriously tight-lipped about these moves. And I was searching, trying to see who are they drumming up. I heard Mo Linguist at Buffalo, ironically enough, Sean Lewis at Kent State, and then I read an article on The Athletic that there might be like this midnight hour surprise candidate. And it wasn't really substantiated, but the writer was like, I because Cunningham kind of has sometimes a guy up his sleeve. That guy was Scott Satterfield. It feels like in many ways a lateral move because Cincinnati's moving to the Big 12, Louisville's in the ACC. But here's the difference. Number one, Satterfield had put together one of the best recruiting classes at Louisville in like maybe the last decade. And apparently Louisville has quite the NIL war chest. Cincinnati doesn't have the NIL game that Louisville has. Mm-hmm. So that made it quite interesting. But at the same time, if you've ever worked someplace and you get the mass email that somebody's telling them that they, y'all, listen, I'm about to leave and take another position. And you kind of see the replies on the email chain. It's like, oh man, well, good luck. I feel like a lot of fans was like, Scott, I got a cousin down in Cincinnati do real estate, man. He can help you find a crib down there. I'm just saying they weren't too upset that he was leaving Louisville. Yeah. So I think it's kind of one of those very good matches in that Satterfield gets to reset his clock because really what he was doing at Louisville was, in my opinion, I think close to their ceiling. I mean, Charlie Strong got them a couple 10-win seasons. I know Bobby Petrino with I'm trying to think. I think they got one 10-win season with Lamar.
They did.
He was at Louisville. They got the 10-win season when Teddy Bridgewater was at Louisville, but that was before they moved to the ACC. But so like 7 to 9 wins, that's about close to Louisville's ceiling. Well, here's the thing. You want to keep boosters donating. And I want to give credit what credit is due. So Bud Elliott from Cover 3 articulated this tremendously well. So when the boosters say, well, coach, what's next? Like, you can't go to them and say, look, man, this is the ceiling, man. We maxing out 8 wins and the BBVA Compass Bowl every season. Boosters are like, no, what can we go higher than that? And honestly, if you think about Louisville, although the ACC is eventually going to go to divisionless football, but right now they're in the same division with Florida State and Clemson. Mm-hmm. So, and they don't recruit at the level of Clemson. They're close neck and neck with Florida State, which that's a different conversation for a different podcast show about Norvell's juice on the recruiting trail. So now you go to Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati wanted if they could get a sitting Power 5 head coach, because they feel like with Fickle gone, you need to show that you kind of a big dog. So they got their sitting Power 5 head coach in Scott Satterfield. They will be playing in the Big 12 this fall. The Big 12 will be a super conference because Texas and Oklahoma are going to still be there for one more season. But everybody's coming this fall. So we'll see how it works. I think Satterfield's a good offensive coach. Going all the way back to App State. It's very interesting that happened. I thought the Fickle hire was intriguing, but when I think about it, once again, very, very similar to the Deion hire at Colorado. This was a shrewd move.
Yeah.
By Wisconsin getting Luke Fickle, who basically, like, Wisconsin is Cincinnati with more money. But I'll say this about the Fickle hire. Very similar to before Mel Tucker went to Michigan State and Brian Kelly to LSU. Luke Fickle turned that job down.
He did.
He did. So I guarantee you the AD at Wisconsin went back to him and said,
what you want?
Yeah, coach, I know you turned us down, but give us your Christmas list. And here's the thing. Wisconsin doesn't spend money on facilities, but Wisconsin has money, and a lot of it. Number one, they pack Camp Randall Stadium every Saturday.
Every Saturday, Wisconsin, they deep regardless.
Yes, they got money. And now, because the Big Ten move to CBS starts in August, now they're getting now they're about to get that new Big Ten TV money. So Luke Fickle gave a wish list. AD said, give me about 15, 20 minutes, call him back. You got it. So of course Fickle went. And Fickle can still run a program very similar to what he ran at Cincinnati and Wisconsin.
He can.
You're going to get linemen. You're going to get running backs. But now he can reach and recruit even better than he did at Cincinnati.
So,
go ahead, JT.
So I'm glad you said the recruitment part, because it's some big name quarterbacks who entered the portal that's potentially looking for a second chance. DJ Ugalunga.
Oh, he going. I think he's going back home. I think he's going home.
You think he's going home?
Yeah, I think he's going home.
Why?
Number one, I've listened to a lot of people talk about DJU. I am probably more on DJU than anybody else. I think he can play. I think he was hamstrung by an offense with no variety. He was hamstrung. It's an offense. I was thinking about a comp, and I thought about the Florida State defense in Bobby Bowden's heyday. Back in the 80s and the 90s, Florida State ran man too. That's all they ran. They didn't blitz. They didn't run any. They didn't try to run man on the perimeter and funnel zone in the middle. They didn't disguise coverage. You saw the same look. It was press man too. But they could do that because back then they had Prime, and they had Leroy Butler, and they had Terrell Buckley, and they had Derrick Brooks. You got all these NFL players on your defense, so you can run a vanilla defense because you got these studs. Well, Clemson's offense is very similar, but you had Deshaun, and you had Trevor, and you had Sammy Watkins, and you had Todd
D-Hop,
and you had CJ Spiller, and you had Mike Williams, and you had Ray McLeod, and you had T. Higgins, and you had Justin Ross, and you had Amari Rogers, and you had Hunter Renfrow. I mean, you had all these guys. They didn't have those guys this year.
Yeah, true.
True. And I want to see an offense take advantage of DJ's arm. The man's arm is special. I personally, I would love to see him go to Tennessee and run that offense, because DJ does one thing extraordinarily well. He throws the deep ball well.
Yeah.
If he wants to stay east, I'd love to see him go to Wake Forest. We don't know what Sam Hartman's going to do. It kind of seems like Wake is ready to start Mitch Griffiths because they really like him, and have Sam move on. Because Clausen was like, hey, if he can find a better deal, man, we ain't gonna stop him. But I think he's gonna go out west. There is a California school that's gonna need a quarterback, and I think he would be great in UCLA's offense because they don't need to ask him to run, because they're gonna. I think Charbonnet has more eligibility if he doesn't decide to go to the league.
Mm-hmm.
But even if he does, they've got running backs there. That's number one. But then number two, like DJ, I think I saw a lot his first year as a starter, and in these couple of bad games this season, he has a tendency to get in his own head.
Yeah.
When we think about where he is in Clemson, he's the situation where all eyes are on him. He in little Clemson, South Carolina. Everybody's looking at him. He's the most important player on the most important team in the state.
Yeah.
On the most prominent team in the conference. Well, you go to UCLA, and UCLA, they second to USC, they second to the Dodgers, they second to the Lakers. So he can go someplace where the pressure's kind of off, and he's got 3 years of eligibility left if he wants to use all 3. And he can go, and he can develop under Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly will use that arm. Now, he's willing to run. He's not Dorian Thompson-Robinson as a runner by any means. But he's a guy, much like Cam Newton, man, you run that quarterback lead on the 5 yard line. Let that man use that 6'4", 250-pound frame to get in the end zone. But personally, I would love to see him at Notre Dame. But I think he's going home. We talked about Wisconsin, and Graham Mertz just went in the portal. I am curious to see who Wisconsin gets.
Honestly, and it's just my opinion. Someone who I think may go to Wisconsin. I don't know if how Fickle will use him, but he has a similar style to Ritter, and that's Jeff Blake. I mean, Blake's Jeff Blake, his name Blake Sims? No, quarterback from Georgia Tech.
Jeff Sims.
Yeah.
I wrote about Jeff. I got one concern about Jeff.
His health.
Jeff been hurt every year.
If he can play, if he can stay healthy, he's a dynamic quarterback.
Yeah,
and he reminds me of a faster Ritter. If I had to compare him to a quarterback who originally came out, he reminds me of Ritter. He's not the biggest of quarterbacks, but he has an arm. He's smart, and he can use his feet very well. Ritter he didn't use his feet that much in Cincinnati, but we had to. It was effective.
You know who I think will be a good fit at Wisconsin, and I was actually kind of shocked when he entered the portal, but then I found out why. Drew Pine, Notre Dame. I didn't think he could play as well as he played this season, but kind of similar philosophy. You're gonna be good up front. You're gonna run the football. I think the receivers may be a bit better right now at Wisconsin than at Notre Dame. Notre Dame has some prospects that flash, like Deion Cozy flash. He had his best game of the season against USC. And he's and for those of you that don't know Deion Cozy, he's the highest rated wide receiver Notre Dame's had on that campus since Michael Floyd. So hopefully he don't pull a Braden Lindsay and do nothing and kind of come. But I think Drew Pine is the kind of guy who's going to take care of the football because Fickle wants to play defense. But he's going to take care of the football. He's not going to turn it over. But he showed again his last 4 games of the season. He showed an ability to push the ball down the field that I did not think he had. So, and then you got Braylon Allen up there. So, while we in my part of the country in the Great Lakes, so Satterfield goes to Cincinnati, Louisville's favorite son, and he is Louisville's favorite son. The favorite son passed away, and that's Johnny Unitas. So the other favorite son, Jeff Brom, goes to Louisville. So I don't know if you've given this much thought. As I said, my brother, a Purdue alum, he in his room crying because he never thought they'd have a coach as good as Joe Tiller, and now he's gone. So what do you think? Where do you think Purdue goes? I mean, Purdue's not a top end job.
It's not.
So I guess my big question is on a different kind of level. Do you think they try to get a guy who's coached? Or do you think they may go the hot coordinator route?
So I have thought about this because it's really a trickle effect. Once one coach is hired, another coach leaves and get hired at that position at the school they just left. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've thought about this. Is one guy that comes to mind for Purdue, but I don't know how it will fit. So he used to coach at, I think, Vanderbilt. Derek, what's his name?
Derek Mason.
Derek Mason. I see Derek Mason getting a second chance and going to Purdue. And here's why I say Derek Mason. At Vanderbilt, when he was at Vanderbilt, they wasn't the best, but they fought. You know what I'm saying? It just, when you think about Vanderbilt, you don't think of football. You think academics? You think academics? You think basketball and baseball?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they didn't have the best of the best seasons at Vanderbilt, but those guys, like, they fought hard. I think Derek Mason deserves another chance, and I think Purdue would be a good school for him to get that second chance.
So I think, especially if they decide to possibly devalue football, and I'm going to write about this in the next couple of weeks. So keep your eyes on MVPN.com, the blog site, and on SaturdayBlitz.com. Because I wouldn't be shocked if Stanford asks to join the Ivy Leagues. I've heard him floated for that job. Now, why would he be floated for the Stanford job? So when Stanford was winning the Pac-12, going to Rose Bowls with David Shaw, he was the defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work at Vanderbilt because he decided we're going to try to be fast and athletic like the SEC instead of bringing that power football philosophy from Stanford.
Yeah.
I'll give you another black head coach that I thought about, but I think I'll give you a coach who I think would be the perfect hire. Kevin Sumlin's a Purdue grad.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, including myself, I don't think he should have took the Arizona job. But he said he took the Arizona job because often when black coaches lose their jobs and they take a year off, they're kind of forgotten about. He didn't want to get forgotten about. That's understandable. He did a good job coaching in the USFL.
Yeah.
So I think he's a candidate. So I'm going to bring up a guy by the name of Joe Tiller. Now, Joe is retired. But when Joe came from Wyoming to the Big Ten was still I formation, 11 personnel, power I, fullback, halfback, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Here comes Joe Tiller, right? With this crazy offense that he developed at Wyoming, spreading it all over the place. One of the earliest concepts of the read option. Last time Purdue won the Big Ten, Joe Tiller was the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
He spent 11 years there, won over 120 games. My brother was going to Purdue during that time. I met Drew Brees during that time. I think there's a coach who can come and do something similar there. And for the third time tonight, I'm looking at the symbol behind you, JT. I think they should go after Dan Mullen. He'd be perfect for Purdue. You look at the success he had at. Hold on. Let's do the correlation.
Okay.
So, you see the success he had at Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the level of guys he was able to recruit and develop. It's pretty much the same show at Purdue. Indiana doesn't produce a lot of great players, but I give you one guy who's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of All-American by the name of Blake Fisher. He's tackle at Notre Dame. Now, you're not going to get that guy at Purdue. But Purdue recruits the greater Indianapolis area, the Fort Wayne area very well. You're going to be able to keep those guys home. You're going to run a unique offense because you're going to run what you ran at Mississippi State. You don't have the pressure to recruit at Purdue like you did at Florida. You're going to bring this offense. And the truth is, if you win 8, same thing in Mississippi State, you win 8 or 9 games every year at Purdue, they're going to build a statue for you.
Yeah.
And even with the changing landscape, and yeah, you're probably adding a half to a full loss every year to Purdue's win-loss record with USC and UCLA coming. But if you make Purdue a special prep offensively, one thing Purdue has shown, I mean, they're not the spoiler makers for nothing, right? They've shown if they can keep their first 22 healthy, that they can compete. And I think Dan Mullen bringing in that offense, you can find in that quarterback, that Dak Prescott, Nick Fitzgerald sort of quarterback to come in and run an offense. Man, he would be fantastic.
And I'm glad you, and a name just literally just popped in my head. I think Will Muschamp may do well at Purdue.
I don't think he can recruit the players to play the type of defense he wants. That would be my only concern about Muschamp, because and this is somewhat consistent with defensive guys. Will could never make the right offensive coordinator hire.
Yeah,
that would be my only reservation about Muschamp. But I think Mullen would, and I think for the same reason Kevin Sumlin would do well at Purdue too. But I think, man, now Dan Mullen, first of all, he's fantastic on television. He's unbelievably charming on television, and he seems to like television. Like when Mac Brown was doing TV, he enjoyed it, but you could kind of see
he still wanted to coach.
He kind of had them. If I get a chance to coach again, I may take it.
Yeah.
Dan, like, man, I'm collecting this buyout money. I'm on TV. I get to wear these suits. They do that full panoramic view. You know, I still got my J's on under my suit. I'm good. So he might not want to get back into it. So, but I think those should be two guys that Purdue targets. I think they should look at someone. I think they should look at Dan Mullen.
Okay. Well, guys, you know, as I said earlier, this show we just gonna talk coaches and just the culture of college football. So, and that's what you got today. You got two guys who just love the game of college football. But hey, as we once said before, we got something about Sleeve. If y'all don't follow us on Twitter, please follow us on Twitter, because we got a big announcement coming up really, really soon. Really soon. Follow the team on MTMV Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Man, we got so much stuff producing out right now, man. We got the main card. We got Sports Talk with C, the V Report, the Full 94, the main card. Man, we got shows on top of shows. And then Professor, he's a writer. So we got mtmvpn.com blogs. We got Saturday Blitz or Saturday Morning Blitz?
SaturdayBlitz.com.
SaturdayBlitz.com, where he writes about all things college football. So yeah, man, just follow us and trust me, you will not regret it. But please, please, please stay tuned for an announcement that's coming up really soon, and one that I think you guys may like.
Hey, listen. So this week I wrote about possibilities of where DJU's going. I wrote about the Deion move to Colorado. I wrote about the Satterfield move to Louisville. All of that's for Saturday Blitz. But I want you to stay tuned to the MTMVPN blog site, because I am going to write about the top players still in the portal. And your squad may need a quarterback. There's still some out there to get. Your squad needs a running back. There's still some out there to get. So I'm going to put the best portal players by position still left in the portal that's coming this week.
Okay. Well, there y'all have it, man. You know, another great episode of MVP University. You know, I'm your main man, MVP JT. I got my main man, Professor, with me. And as y'all know, we about to hit the yard, man. Well, actually, I got to go study for a final. It's finals week, the last week of school. So I got to kind of sort of, you know, make some stuff shape, man. I gotta pull my grades up, man.
Listen, I gotta go make some finals.
Yes, sir, man. So yeah, hey, thank y'all for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and continue to follow us. We got more stuff in store for y'all. So thank y'all. Have a good night.